Okay, now, before verse 22, Samson had put all his faith in his hair as being where the soul of his strength was. And so, but in verse 22, when his hair began to grow back, Samson, he wasn't depending on his strength in his hair no more. He wasn't looking for that to be his strength. Well, that's a good indication that a person is getting to a place where they don't care anymore. If they sole belief was one way and now their belief is another way, that's a good indication that there's been a negative shift in their life. Especially if the way that they're now looking is not a positive way. So Samson, he wasn't depending on his hair that was starting to grow back as his strength anymore, where he used to use that as his soul of his strength. He done changed his faith to believing that if he called upon the Lord, that the Lord will provide him with the strength to do what he had to do. So now his faith began to be changed from what was misplaced faith to what was of great faith. But the reason that it was becoming of great faith, it was not because, oh, okay, he recognized some things now. It was because he had got to the point where he felt like, well, he believed that he got to do what he got to do, even though if it cost him his life, that was okay. When you have suffered at the hands of others for whatever reason, it's the time you need to call upon the strength of the Lord. You need to seek peace. But again, you got to be taught these things. This is not something that you just automatically know to do. Sometimes it may be a vacation away from that toxic people you're around. Sometimes it may be to shut yourself off from negative events, news, and people until you become strong within yourself. This is why mental health for the mental and emotional turmoil is not nothing to be ashamed about. People like to make you feel like if you go and get mental health, oh, you crazy. You done lost your mind. There's nothing wrong with getting mental health. Okay. There need to be places people can go that is affordable and with people who is mentally and emotionally trained to deal with individuals who may be suicidal. That is why I am promoting that the people in the church need to be taught how to deal with people who may be suicidal. Because suicide is on the rise. Suicide is actually becoming the normal thing to do in this day and age. So we, in the church, we need to be taught how to deal with them that may be suicidal. And not just those in the church, society itself needs to be taught how to deal with people who are suicidal. Churches need to make suicide a regular topic discussed and how to prevent it. This needs to become regular. Because society needs to be educated to not put so much strength in appearances, statues, popularity. Don't make a person who doesn't fit the norm be an outcast. Don't make a person who don't fit the norm be an outcast. So I want you to remember this. How can we have a better society if we don't have better churches? If the churches become stronger, society will become stronger. Because church has been made In the sense, it's what you got to do. You got to go to church. If you want to go to heaven, you got to go to church. If you want to have a peaceful life, you got to go to church. So church is a very integral part of people's life. And because of that, the church can use it to their advantage to educate people, to educate society that life is not just being the most popular or being the richest or being among the best group. That ain't all to society. So if churches would take advantage of their position in society, we can build a stronger society. We discussed last week how the countenance and appearance as well as the action of a person may be a good indication of suicide. Take time. That is the most valuable piece of advice that I can offer. Take time to spend with a person who may be hurting. Take that time. Get to know them. Get to know the good, the bad, the ups, the downs. But don't use it to your advantage to hurt them. Use it to help them. Samson is a good sign of the fact there will not always be a note or a giving away of possession. Remember I was telling you last week how many people think that when a person is about to commit suicide, they're going to leave a suicide note, or they're going to be giving away their possession, and that's a good indication that a person is going to commit suicide. Not always. That's not always the case. Samson is a good example of that. Because Samson had told them when he was standing there between the pillars. They had put him between the pillars while they was making a sport of his weakness. They had him between the pillars, and he asked the guards there, he asked them if he can put his hand on each pillar. So Samson already had a plan going on in his head. But because they weren't listening properly, they didn't even know what was going on. So what Samson did was, when they allowed him to put his hands on each pillar, he called upon the Lord to give him great strength one more time. Because he wanted to avenge them that took his eyes out. He wanted to hurt those that did him wrong. Now this I encourage to you as we close for this week, is don't make fun of someone's shortcomings or their appearances. Don't make fun of that. You don't want to be, as the old saying goes, the straw that broke the camel's back. Remember I told you, I said people don't remember the good things about you until you die. And then now they want to discuss how good you was, all the good things that you done. Why didn't you discuss that about me when I was alive? Why wait till I'm dead to talk about it?
But you don't know nothing about it.
I can't hear it. Give me my flowers while I live. But you don't want to be the person that as the old saying goes, to break the straw to break the camel's back. Be the cause that a person go and do what is called suicide. You don't want to be the cause of that. So watch how you treat people. Watch how you say you love somebody. Watch all that, because you don't want to be the cause of that. Okay. Don't put so much emphasis on how to be perfect, or else you are not one of us. No one is perfect. I remember when I started this YouTube channel. And I want y'all to hear me close on this. When I started this YouTube channel, it came from being inspired by the Lord. The Lord told me to start this YouTube channel.